Hi folks, Roger Moore here at Hypnosis Health Info. You know, our cities, our states, our nation is in grave economic trouble, and you know, we keep hearing about budget cuts and the impacts on people in need and higher education and our local schools, and even on Bainbridge Island, which is actually quite a wealthy community, and where you know, there seems to be lots of money to go around, and yet the city is broke. And just recently I talked to the city about a tree that is on the road, and it's certainly in the city right away, and we live on a kind of a gravelly, muddy road, and we pretty much have to maintain it ourselves. The city doesn't do anything, and us and the neighbors. But there was a tree that was clearly in the right of way of the road, belongs to the city, that was next to my property, and then another tree that was next to my neighbor's property that we've been told are diseased and they're dying and they need to come down. And in the past, when those things happened, was able to call the city, and the city would come out and take down the trees. And this time I called, and they came out and took a look and said, "Sorry, we're not going to do it." And the response, and what they said to me was because of the budget cuts, because they basically had no money, that unless it was laying on one of our houses or totally blocking the road, they weren't going to do anything about it, and for now they could stand there and rot. And yeah, it may be a number of years before they actually will fall down or have to come down, but with the high winds that we get, who knows? But here are two diseased trees that are still standing because there's no money. And so I read in particular interest an article that was in WebMD about obesity rates weighing down cities' budgets. And it says that trimming obesity would save U.S. cities billions in healthcare costs. And this is WebMD Health News, January 28th of 2011. Cities searching for ways to trim the fat and stretch their budget dollars may want to start looking at residents' waistlines. A new study suggests that trimming high obesity rates in the nation's most overweight cities could help local governments save more than $32 billion annually nationwide in associated health care costs. $32 billion annually. New information from the Gallup Healthways Well-Being Index shows more than 6 in 10, or 62.9% of American adults were either overweight or obese in 2010, slightly more than 60.2% reported in 2008. So 62.9% of American adults are overweight or obese. Researchers estimate that direct health care costs associated with obesity are about $50 million each year per 100,000 residents in the U.S. with the highest obesity rates. That means if the nation's 10 most overweight cities, each with more than a third of its residents classified as obese with a body mass index, BMI, over 30, reduce their obesity levels to the 2009 national average of 26.5%, they could collectively save nearly $500 million in health care costs each year. Researchers say if all 187 cities included in the survey reduced their obesity rates to the national goal of 15%, they would save an estimated $1.3 billion annually. So again, if the 187 cities in the survey reduce their obesity rates to the national goal of 15%, they could save an estimated $1.3 billion per year. The survey shows health problems like diabetes, heart attacks are more common in cities with the highest obesity rates versus the lowest. In addition to chronic health conditions, researchers say residents in the most obese cities were also more likely to report lower energy levels, which can lower productivity levels and may be another hidden economic cost of obesity. So what they're saying there, that because of obesity there's a lack of energy, they aren't as energetic, and end up being not as productive at work and at home as somebody that's at a healthy weight. Researchers say communities can help curb the cost of obesity by encouraging healthy behaviors such as initiating walking school buses to encourage kids and parents to walk to school. A walking school bus is a group of children walking to school supervised by one or more adults. I think that's just a wonderful idea. Promoting healthy eating in schools by eliminating sugary drinks and foods that are deep fried or high in sugar. And be sure to check places like the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, pcrm.org, and take a look at the activities they have going on for healthy school lunches, and also with Jamie Oliver and sign Jamie Oliver's petition to promote healthy school lunches in your community. Investing in widening and lengthening walking and biking paths to grocery stores, schools, and mass transit. Levying additional taxes on foods that are high in sugar. You know, and here in Washington, we had such a measure on the ballot, or actually it had passed the legislature. There was going to be a tax, and it became an initiative to repeal it. And I forget how much money it was, but the soft drink companies came in and just bought the election and poured millions of dollars into defeating the bill with lots of false advertising. And unfortunately, the initiative passed, the tax was withdrawn, and the tax on sugary drinks was going to go to education and help out the education fund, and so now we're cutting back on our school teachers and still serving Coke and root beer and those types of things. Finally, maintaining security in at-risk neighborhoods to ensure that people feel safe shopping at fresh food stands and farmers markets. You know, folks, I just keep saying this over and over, and I'm going to continue to say it, that healthcare, we desperately need healthcare reform. But guess what? It depends with each of us taking responsibility for our own health, for our own wellness, for our healthcare. Instead of living at McDonald's and living on processed foods, convenient frozen foods and fast foods and junk foods, and living on potato chips and ice cream and all those types of things, it means that we take responsibility for ourselves. And we focus in on healthy eating, that we eat food that is real food. It's food as God made it. It's God's food. It's food that was dug out of the earth, picked off a plant or a bush or out of a tree. And there's nothing processed about it. It's not in a package with a label and words we can't pronounce. It's real food. That's where we focus, on the vegetables, on the fruits, on the whole grains. That we eat slowly, we eat consciously, we stop eating when our body says enough, no more. That we don't do the emotional eating. You know, when the oil light comes on in your car, you don't stop in the gas station and put more gas in the gas tank, especially if the gas tank's already full. But that's what so many people do to their bodies. The stress light goes on and they're not hungry, but they turn to food. And instead of checking the oil in the car, instead of dealing with the stress, they're numbing it out, they're stuffing it with food. And yet the stress continues on. And if we did that to our cars, if we ignored the oil light and continued driving, just pouring more gas in, our car would stop running. But that's what happens to us, is our bodies stop running. And, you know, here in my Seattle weight loss office and Bainbridge Island weight loss offices of Slender for Life, people learn self-hypnosis. And they learn how to take control of themselves, how to manage their emotions, their thoughts, their emotions, and their behavior using self-hypnosis, and they change their behavior. And they start taking weight off safely, healthfully, get to their goal weight, and most importantly, stay there. And if you live too far away from my downtown Seattle office here in the Medical Dental Building, or my office over in Bainbridge Island, or when I'm over in Forks, then give me a call, send me an email, and together you and I, we can create an internet and Skype program, telephone program that will support you in achieving your goal weight. So take charge of your health. Help out with your city and state and national budget crises. Help our kids get a proper education by starting to eat healthy. Use hypnosis to motivate yourself to get off the couch and start exercising. You take responsibility for you. Reduce your healthcare costs. I'm Roger Moore, and this is Hypnosis Health Info.